Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. Today, I have with me Angela Lusnia. She's Vice President of Sales at Hatteras. Angela, welcome.
Thank you.
To get us started, can you tell us a little bit about what Hatteras does?
Sure. Hatteras is a commercial printer located in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, and we like to pride ourselves on being a solution provider. We specialize in marketing collateral, direct mail programs, large format, digital print, client portals, and so much more. And we keep changing with technology. Bill Doer is the president, and he keeps changing the equipment to roll with the tides. We're in the process of installing a new press, which will be the only one in the country. It's called Harrison Bruno ZRX. It's a digital embellishment press, and it's going to take us to a whole nother level on that side of the business.
Awesome. I can't wait to see the stuff that you produce once you get that, and once you actually get that. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's up. It's being tested right now. So hopefully by mid to end of March, we'll actually be able to run jobs on it. And I think everyone here in sales is very excited about that because it's going to do foil stamping right in line with varnishes. And if anyone knows anything about printing, digital doesn't do that yet. So this is going to take us to another level.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get started in printing?
This is a really strange story. So I was just starting college and my best friend's neighbor had a graphic arts company. And I love this story because I was so naive and shy. And he said to me, why don't you come and work for me? I'll give you a job. I'll make you a stripper. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't think I can take off my clothes in front of people. Well, he's a film stripper. So then he explained to me about graphic arts and all that. So I really got starting on the graphic arts side of the business with him and a little Greek press place. And worked my way right through. I was there for 3 years, and then I went to a company called Publishers Phototype, which was run by Steve Server and Diane Romano. Back in the day, that was one of the places to be, and they were great. I had mentors without them even knowing they were mentors. So they were in those roles leading us, and I loved it there. I was there for 19 years before coming down to Hatteras. So.
Awesome. So I guess my question is, before you got the job in film stripping, what was it that you were looking to do? Did you have an idea in your head that this is the career, or what was the career that you wanted to go for?
I thought I wanted to be a teacher. That's
Okay.
what I was going to go to school for because I love kids and I just thought I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be home when I had kids and be with them. But once I got involved with this, it was just different. There's something new every day. I still learn things every day here because there's so many different substrates depending on what client you're working with. I could be doing something for large graphics that is using a board I've never even heard of. So it's like you're constantly learning.
Really exciting. Now, I guess my question to you is, through the different jobs that you had, was there a particular moment in time that you realized that this is the career for me?
I don't know if I knew it was the career, but I kept advancing. And because of that, it was always new and challenging and fun. And I worked with great people. So I didn't think of anything else. I never regretted not becoming a teacher. I had enough flexibility that for years I coached. In my early career, I was able to get out of work at 3 o'clock and I was able to coach after school for the kids as a volunteer for many years. And that was probably the most rewarding. As time went on and I had my own child, it was different having the flexibility at work and being able to not miss things at school. But I would say sales probably here at Hatteras was the point where I knew I wish I made this decision sooner. I was pushed into the role, but once I got into it, I was like, wow, I can do this. Like first when you're offered the role like that, you're like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm not sure of myself. I was great at what I did inside, but I didn't know if I could actually go out and talk to people and build those relationships. And I worked out. I definitely would encourage anyone to do it. It's a great career path. I'm sure sales is in probably any industry. It gives you the opportunity to meet tons of people and different types of people. So I really enjoy it.
So you said that you were pushed into the role in sales. What do you mean by that?
While when I was at Hatteras initially, I was in what they call an account executive. I was in account manager working with the salesperson for years. And one of my salesperson left. So it only felt that I should go into the role. I already knew the accounts, I knew the people. So why didn't I try to maintain them and keep the accounts once that person had left?
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting behind a desk all day. You think, this is what I do. I'm pushing paperwork. I'm doing the jobs. I'm writing them up. I'm getting going through the plant. Everything's running smooth. This is a whole different beast. But what I realized was being on the inside for so long and being through so many different positions through my career, like right into accounting and finance. I was also in those areas. It made me a better salesperson because I understood the importance of not only getting the jobs through the shop. I have patience with the people on the inside because I know that things happen and no one does anything wrong on purpose. And it's really how you react to a problem and fix it is what your customers see and how they respect you more. And luckily, it's not good. That doesn't happen often. We're pretty buttoned up over here and we have a lot of procedures in place and it makes it pretty smooth. And I have a great team behind me and it just makes the whole process easier. But when you're talking to your friends in a cubicle is different than going out and talking to strangers and trying to get new business or customers and trying to convince them to stay or things like that. So that was challenging. But once I did it, it just seems natural now.
And it's like, why wasn't I doing this all the time?
Yeah. Like, why was I behind the desk for so long? It's just so much more fun and easier because you get to take people out. Not as much since the pandemic as before the pandemic, but because everybody's working from home a couple of days a week now. So it's harder to get people out. But when you take somebody out for lunch, you're not talking necessarily about work. You're talking about their families, their kids, what they're doing, what vacation they're going on. And you get to know them as people. So you develop friendships. And I have to say, even some of the people that leave that are my clients that whether they retire or move on to something else, I stay in touch with because you do develop a friendship with.
Mm-hmm. And I guess in some ways you have to make that mental shift. You're used to talking to people in those cubicles. You're used to doing all the stuff inside the plant.
Mhm.
But now to be able to shift and create those relationships, because you were creating relationships inside, obviously, you were doing that inside the companies you were working for. But now to just extend that and make that mental shift.
Yeah. That was the part I was afraid of. But
Mhm.
like I said, I mean, you're hit the nail on the head because I was doing it anyway without knowing I was doing it. Because you are that person on the phone talking to the client daily anyway. It just comes natural and they're used to it. So they're just fine and comfortable with it. The hardest thing for me in this industry is cold calling because it's really hard to do it. I prefer to go to a trade show or meet people just randomly, go out for lunch and just talk to a stranger because you can meet more people at one trade show than you do an entire year in a couple of hours. So it's, to me, networking is the hardest thing. And finding the right people to network with because we are a larger company. We're not looking to go down the street at menus for someone. You're looking to get an account that has repeat business and that is going to continue with you for years. So that's the challenging part of it. But it somehow works out. Referrals are key. I'm big into supporting each other. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'd rather support everyone that works with me, even if they are another salesperson, if I can help them in any way, because I feel that if we all do well, the company does well. So you can't
Yeah.
just one person do well. You have to have the whole company doing well so that it just continues to grow as Hatteras has grown over the years.
And obviously it's been working. Like you say, Hatteras continues to grow and they continue to have the money to install new equipment, to continue to build the services that you guys can sell and offer to clients.
They evolve with the times. Bill is doing a great job pushing us into the future. And for anyone young out there, there's plenty of opportunity here. He does a lot of colleges will come down. He'll take them through the shop and see the plant to show that there's other things out there. I wish more high schools would come because I think a lot of people don't realize I didn't know about this world until my neighbor offered me a position I never even knew it existed.
Mhm.
As far as the roles and there's plenty for women to do. Maybe the guys are running the press because that tends to be the way it happens, but it doesn't mean a woman can't. It just means that we all take different paths. It seems like a lot of women will go more into the financial roles, the HR roles, the account manager roles, and customer service type of things. But
Hmm.
I would say I don't know for sure, but I would say we're at least 50% women in this company.
Which is great.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, I spoke to a female press operator.
Mhm.
She was team lead and she was running one of their offset presses. And that's something when she got into the job, she said, I can do that. And that's where she wanted to go. She really wanted to be hands on with the press. Everybody's a little different.
Yeah. I remember when I first started, after I left that graphic arts company and I went over to Publishers Phototype, myself and my friend went together and we were the first two women in what they had, the pre-press area where they were making film and color keys and things at that time. And I can remember all the guys just looking at us. What are they here? We didn't belong. And within 3 months, they were so thrilled we were there. And I think that opened up another door for women to go into that part of the plant where they never went before. But because of where I came from prior, where
Hmm.
this neighbor exposed us to everything and running machines and going into the dark room and the camera rooms and things like that back in the day. I guess that was the start of it, having somebody who really wanted to teach. And he had all daughters, so he wanted his girls to succeed too in the business. And then, like I said, PPI was just a great place to be at that time. And I have no regrets. For me, it's been the right choice. Some people can't say that, but for me, I definitely am happy that this is where I ended up. And I hope to finish my career at Hatteras because when I came to Hatteras, they're such a family-based company and they really do care. You'll have people that say things, whatever, their opinions, how they fall. But I feel like if you're a good worker, you put in the time, there's room for growth. There, you get recognized no matter what company you're working for. You just have to be a worker. You can't just sit back and expect things to come to you. You have to work. You have to earn it. And if you do, there's definitely a path to succeed and live I feel like a very good lifestyle with the choices I've made and with the guidance.
And it's interesting that you said earlier that when you first went into pre-press and you went into that department, it was all guys. And they're like, what are you doing here? But yet, after a little while, they were accustomed and it opened up other opportunities. I think it's important in some ways, someone needs to be that, like the tip of the spear. Somebody needs to try it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you hadn't done that, if you hadn't had your experience, you hadn't moved into that department, then other women might not have said, oh, she's doing that. I can do that too. That representation in those areas, I think, is very important, whether it's in leadership or whether it's in even other departmental areas within a company.
Yeah. And pre-press has changed so much since back then. It's a different world. It's all computer generated and you can have all these graphic designer. A lot of them are women anyway.
Mhm.
So I think that end of the business now is probably 50-50, if not more. But you can go wherever you want. But I do think the younger generation may not know how many different avenues there are to take. You hear printing and you think of presses. You don't think of all the other steps before the product is done.
All the other things that encircle it.
Yeah. And like I said, right down to your HR department, your finance department.
Mm-hmm.
Most companies that I've worked for, it's been all women. When I was in billing and invoicing at APT, that was all women. We had one guy, so it was opposite. So
Yeah.
like one of those things. You can get controllers that are women. There's a lot of opportunity. So you can't say there's not roles for women. It's just what role do you want to be in? And in accounting, there's tons of roles.
And then obviously in your previous company, Diane Romano, she was one of the owners of the company.
Yeah. And she was a mentor without even knowing it. We, as young women back then, and there was a lot of us there, it was just like you saw her success and you said, wow, we can do this. We can be somebody. And again, being 20 years old and having that feeling was a wonderful feeling to have. And it didn't, I'm glad I got to work for her because hard work paid off. And I'm sure she's retired by now, but
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah, but she was a mentor without knowing it to many of us.
Now, in talking about mentors, you have some unknowing mentors like Diane, like others. Did you have any other mentors or allies that really helped you grow as you were moving through your career?
I don't know if it was through my career. I think more through high school early years. One of my
Okay.
best friends was a teacher. I started off watching babysitting and watching her kids, and then we're still friends to this day. We still have Christmas Eve together every year. It's just
So,
one of those things that we became family in another way. And she always pushed me to be better. Like I would write a book report and she'd make me rewrite it because it was too sloppy. Pushed me to be better and not knowing it at the time, but I can look back now and say those were people that really influenced me besides parents. She would have been one. And like I said, I think Diane was definitely one without her even knowing it. I just had so much respect for her. It just made me want to grow and succeed. Not own the company, but I knew I could be something.
hmm but like I said, everybody has a different path, but knowing that women can accomplish as an owner of a company, it makes you want to do better because you know you can. She's already walked that path for you.
Yes, she did. And back then it was a big path to walk. Now it might be more for granted. Maybe there's more women involved now, but back then it was one of the few.
Very true. I know when I started in the industry in 1998, she was one of very few women that were in those positions
Mhm.
as owners of commercial printing establishments.
Yes. That,
But it has changed. There are more women now, which is good. But now the question is, how can we get more people, period, into the industry? Because that sometimes seems to be one of the bigger problems is a lot of young people, as you said, don't look to print as a career or a viable career.
yeah, I don't think enough. I don't know how, other than certain schools may offer it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really teach you about things like this. Counselors aren't talking to you about moving into. Back in the day, print shop was probably doing a few little papers or wood shop. You made a little craft. Like there was no real. There's so much on the internet these days. You would think colleges would offer more. It's a trade. It's definitely a trade, and there's so much that I don't know if is shared with high schools about
Mm-hmm.
trades, unless you're going to a trade school. You don't really hear about this stuff. And I do believe there's a good amount of students still that aren't going to go to college and need to know about these other paths they can choose. Like I said, Bill does bring different schools through and does offer showing what our capabilities are in different paths people can take, but I don't know how many other printers are doing that to get the word out there. They come work for a printer because this could be a career that you never thought you'd have. When I first started working up in Carlstad, it was 10 minutes from my house. It was perfect. It was like one of those things. You had your whole day as soon as you left. It wasn't a phone when you went home. So you really had your whole day.
Yeah. It's interesting because there's some companies that do partner with some high schools, but it's also interesting. Growing up in school, we met firefighters, we met policemen, we went to some of those places, but printing was never one of those things that was emphasized as a job opportunity. Even when you go to the VOTEC schools, it's more like HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and those are all valuable careers. Obviously, we need plumbers, we need electricians, or a lot of stuff wouldn't work. But at the same time, printing is essential.
I mean, like I said, everybody thinks of printing differently. They might think of it as the menu or a pad or this or that or a little book, but it's everything around you. It's cabbage prints, it's acrylics, it's vehicle wraps. There's so much more that I just say, just look at everything. It's
hmm
probably been printed somehow. There's some kind of print component to it.
Yeah, print I think is so ubiquitous. It's just always there. It's something taken for granted.
Mm.
But I know I've walked people through and I'm like, just get up during the day. What do you touch even just before you leave your house? Your toothpaste, your cereal, your milk carton, the mail that's on your table or whatever. What are all the things that you touch?
And we're moving into a direction here with more packaging. And that's a whole nother beast, a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
industry that we're just on the tip of the iceberg with. But you can come in and you'll see 100,000 cartons are printing. Yeah, like you said, anything, a lipstick is going in a carton besides the toothpaste, cereal, and everything else. And all cosmetics, it's crazy, or influencer kits and things like that. And that to me is the fun stuff to help to try from scratch to build that kit that houses all those little components for someone, that's when you really build the relationships. I have done it with different banks and pharmaceuticals just to giveaways that they want to give away. Some of my coworkers do it with all the beauty and cosmetic stuff, which it's really like a whole different level of print because they're spending more because they want that pop when they get that into an influencer's hands.
Certain touch, a certain look, a certain feel.
So that's, again, that's why we're excited about this new press, because it's gonna give you different touches and different looks with gold foil just being on a digital piece, through the press, like that's unheard of. It's gonna take print to a whole nother level. Really exciting.
It is really exciting. And it's also interesting in terms of the generations of folks. You look at like the generations of people that like print. The boomer generation loves print. They're much more print centric because they're not a digital native by any stretch of the imagination. They've come into it much later in life. But it's also interesting that some of the newer generations that are digital natives love print. They love the tactility of it. They love the eye-catchingness, the different textures, like those luxe, like almost velvet feels you can get, or a soft touch.
Yep.
That's what they're really attracted to. It's so interesting how they, as a digital native, find print so new and exciting because that's not something they really had any,
It's like a tech generation. They're not used to it.
They're not used to it at all.
Yeah. But it's, you either like it or you don't. It's one or the other. It's just in my DNA, I think, at this point.
Now, one thing that you mentioned in talking about your career journey is that print and working in the print industry gave you a lot of flexibility. You could do the coaching, you could do the things. Now, work-life balance is obviously difficult, no matter which way we go, whether you're a man or woman, you still have work-life balance. How was it that the print and the jobs that you were doing really helped to give you that balance?
Again, the flexibility, like for me, I was always close enough to even my daughter's school that if I had to leave for an hour to go, I don't know, let's just say to see a Christmas show or something that they were putting on, I could go, leave, and come back. And we always had aftercare. So it was like she would go to aftercare. And so I could come back, finish my day, and go home. And then once you can take your laptop home with you, so if you had to finish something up, you could finish it up. But once the pandemic came, people have more flexibility now than they ever did because it proved that we could work from home without slowing down things. Now, not every position can. Obviously, manufacturing, you have to be here. Production people have to be here. The plant has to run. All the machinery has to operate. But there are certain levels of customer service, definitely sales, that you don't have to be in the office 24/7 and stuck in your desk. I could do things from my phone. I can answer emails. I can call people. And again, at Hatteras, we work in teams. So it's like I can pick up the phone and call my account manager and say, hey, can you do me a favor? Blah, 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 blah. And they'll go through the shop and make sure something's being followed up. This ship, there's the tracking. Such a well-oiled machine. I don't even think about it sometimes, which is a little scary because maybe I should. I would say if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if it's running smooth, there's really no reason for me to get involved. It's that I don't have to be involved in. And you have to trust. You really have to trust the people on the inside are making the right choices and the right decision. At the end of the day, none of us want to fail. We all want to succeed. And I believe that. And I believe that of the people I've been working with for years. And I don't like to blame. I'm not a blame person. It's how do we fix it? And that's usually the best thing. And knock wood, it's worked for me, and I have no complaints.
Which is great. And honestly, the technology, the laptops, like you said, the smartphones now have changed the way we work so much for good and bad. Because now you could also answer email at 3:00 in the morning if you really wanted to. But it does give you that flexibility so that way you can be more present with your family and still get the job done as needed.
And I think a lot of people like that I work with, a lot of my clients have kids and they get that. There's a point when you go home where you're going to either do homework or have dinner or do whatever, but then you might log back in a couple hours later to catch up on some emails. There's never anything that gets put aside. I'm that person. I'll take my computer with me on vacation. I don't care because I'd rather answer a question for somebody and take 10 minutes out of my day than them spend 3 hours trying to figure out what to do. And I just think in a sales role, you need to be reachable. Your clients don't want to hear that you're floating somewhere in the middle of the ocean. Most of them are good. They will give you a little flexibility to break that way. But for the most part, they know it might take an hour, but I'm going to get back.
Or if they've CC'd the team that works on the project, somebody else on the team can reach out and
And
respond.
the team emails are wonderful these days because of that. Because we have such a system. Like if you send me a pricing and you need it right away, I might be in the car driving or out to lunch with someone else or at a meeting with someone else, and I can't put that quote in right away, but someone else is. And so you're still getting your pricing that you need on time. It just works. Maybe I'm lucky, but it just works.
So in conclusion, my favorite question, knowing what you know now. So when you started out, all the different roles that you've had throughout the industry, based on all of that, if you were just starting in the industry today, what advice would you give yourself?
Be a sponge.
Be a sponge.
Yeah. Learn as much as possible, because as much as I've learned over the years, I still learn every day. And you think you might know it, it changes every day. And it will continue to change. And that's what keeps us alive. And that's why when they say print is dead, it's not dead. It's just changing. It's just you have to evolve and change with the times, which means you have to learn. You have to continue to educate yourself and learn. And again, at Hatteras, they do a great job of having seminars and teaching us things and keeping us fresh with what's new out there. And it means a lot. If you're ahead of everyone else in that area, you're going to always stay on your game. I'm just happy to learn. I like to learn. I get bored too easily. It's a challenge to me to learn the next new thing. And then to go out and sell it now is going to be the real challenge of the new press. And I think it will sell itself.
And honestly, it's going to be exciting for you because it's something new.
Yeah, we just have to get people in to see it. Once it's up and running, it's going to sell itself. And I really think that being the only one in the country is going to be a huge game changer for Hatteras.
I think so too. Angela, thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. I really appreciate
Thank you for
it.
having me. Hopefully I made you laugh a little bit.
Yes, you surely did.
Good memories. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.